Hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this recap of Groups C&D in the round of 16 of the Teamliquid Legacy Starleague. In Group C, we had Dodie, Eonzerg, Draw, and Terror. In the first game between Dodie and Eonzerg, we had a standard opening for both players with a Forge Fast Expand versus 12 hatch into 3 hatches at 3 bases. Eonzerg decided to put on some pressure with his initial Hydralisks, and with good Hydra control, was able to force Dodie's Zealot Templar army back into his base. Eonzerg was then able to set up a Lurker Contain, and with Dodie unable to do any damage with drops or break the contain, he was forced to GG out. In game number 2, we had a PvT between Draw and Terror. Draw opens with an interesting gasless 1 Zealot expand versus the normal FD expand of Terror. Terror then goes for a 3-base Turtle Terran style, while Draw takes his 4th. Draw uses good Observer and Dragoon placement to deny most of Terror's Vulture Harass, putting himself in a decent position in the game. He then barely holds off Terror's big push, while also taking his 5th base. After taking his 5th base, Draw decides to do a lot of recalls and counterattacks instead of directly engaging the Terran army. He's able to do a lot of damage to Terror's bases, but eventually the Terran army is too strong for him to deal with, and he's forced to tap out. In the winner's match, we had a TVZ between Terror and Eonzerg. Terror decides to open with a 1-fact expand versus the 3-hatch build of Eonzerg. Terror then researches Spider Mines as well as Vulture Speed, but doesn't do any damage with his Vultures. The subsequent 3-hatch Meter Harass ends up doing a ton of damage to Terror's base, and despite taking a third that is actually closer to the Terran's main, Eonzerg's macro is just too much and Terror is forced to tap out. In the loser's match, we had our first PvP of the TLS with Dodie versus Draw. Dodie goes for a 2-gate Robo opening versus the 2-gate expand of Draw, and when he sees how far ahead his opponent's expansion is, decides to go for a Reaver timing attack. Unfortunately for Dodie, Draw is able to completely crush this with good Dragoon positioning. Draw then solidifies his advantage with good careful play, scouting all the bases on the map and putting spotting pylons in key locations. Eventually, the macro advantage is too much and Draw forces Dodie to GG out of the game. In the final match, we have a rematch between Draw and Terror. Draw goes for a DT expand opening, while Terror once again goes for an FD. Terror then goes for a 3-base Turtle Terran style, which worked well for him in the first game, while Draw decides to play passively and expand as well. By the time Terror finally pushes out, Draw is already taking his 6th base. But unfortunately for him, his army control just isn't quite good enough to take on the Terran army. Terror slowly starts to pick off Draw's expansions, and eventually Draw is forced to GG out of the game. So from Group C, we had Eonzerg advancing in 1st, with Terror advancing in 2nd. In Group D, we had Skyline, Rams, True Touch, and DeWalt. Skyline vs Rams was another TVP, where Skyline opened with a 1-rack Gases expand versus the 1-gate Expo of Rams. Both players then play passively, with Skyline going for a fast 3rd while Rams takes a quick 4th and then 5th base. Rams then ends up taking almost every base on the map, but ends up losing the main engagement quite badly. This allows Skyline to push towards the top left 6th and 7th bases of the Protoss and attempt to split the map. Unfortunately, at this point in the game, Skyline disconnected, and after a discussion with the referee, both players agreed that Rams would have eventually won the game, and decided to award him the win. In the second match, we had a ZVP between True Touch and DeWalt. Both players go for standard openings with a quick 3rd from True Touch versus the Forge Fast Expand from DeWalt. DeWalt then goes for a fast +1 Speed Zealot attack, which is easily scouted by True Touch's initial Overlord. True Touch is able to defend the Zealot attack with good SimCity at his bases, but not before DeWalt tries a crazy Speed Zealot run-by into True Touch's 4th. DeWalt then does a sick DT drop into True Touch's main, killing almost all the drones there as well as sniping the Spire. A few moments later, DeWalt also does a crazy Storm drop at True Touch's 3rd, crippling the Zerg's economy. DeWalt then takes advantage of this by establishing map control with his army and taking a 3rd base. Despite the army advantage, however, DeWalt is unable to make any headway against the good lurker positioning of True Touch. Eventually, both players split the map and the game turns into a crazy max-on-max battle with action everywhere. Crackling snipe nexuses, Reavers are dropped in mineral lines, and a few Dark Archons even make appearances in the game. One highlight of the game is a 9 Reaver push that DeWalt makes against the Zerg's top right expansions, which managed to demolish a control group of Ultralisks in mere seconds. After 48 intense minutes of Protoss vs Zerg action, DeWalt is finally able to crack True Touch's shell and take the game. In the winner's match, we had a PvT between DeWalt and Rams. DeWalt goes for a 2-gate expand, while Rams busts out the cheese with a 2-fact. DeWalt is able to defend the 2-fact with some good decision making and patience, and eventually breaks out of the contain that's been set up at his natural. At this point, DeWalt is already so far ahead that even though the game goes on for a little while longer, DeWalt is able to do anything he wants, including a Manor expansion at Rams' 3rd, and is our first and only Protoss player through to the TLS Round of 8. In the losers match, we had a TVZ between Skyline and True Touch. Skyline goes for a 1-Rax expand versus the very standard 3-hatch Muta build of True Touch. Curiously though, True Touch goes for a big speeding attack before his mutas are ready, which fails miserably against the good SimCityan defense of Skyline. True Touch starts to do some muta harass and is able to do some damage, but unfortunately at this point the replay becomes bugged and we are forced to do an audio recap of the rest of the game. Oh my god, Elegant, his natural is dead! He's down to his main and his third only! He's a 2 base against 2 base, how is he gonna survive? True Touch could go down 0-2 here, Elegant. It's crazy!
I can't believe what I'm seeing, Sayle.
You're going for the third. There's only a 1 lurker here, Elegant. There's only 1 lurker! He's gonna lose his third base!
He's definitely in danger, that's for sure.
After a short summary of the game, it turns out that Skyline proves to be victorious, and True Touch is eliminated from the TLS. Our final match is a rematch between Rams and Skyline. Both players go for a very standard opening with a 1-gate expand versus an FD, which turns into a 3-base Turtle Terran versus a 4-base Protoss. Our Protoss player Rams then takes both corner expansions, going up to 6 bases, but is unable to stop Skyline's push. This push demolishes the Protoss army as well as his third base, and even though a good recall kills off the Terran's fourth, the Terran army is simply too strong, and Rams is forced to GG. So from Group D, we have Protoss player DeWalt and Terran Invites Skyline advancing to the round of 8. Saturday will feature 2 ZBTs, with South Park vs Skyline and Michael vs Terror. On Sunday we'll have our last remaining Protoss player as well as our only random player in the tournament, with Eonzerg taking on Nemu and DeWalt taking on Ziki. Tune in at 21 CET on both Saturday and Sunday to catch these awesome games. I hope to see you guys all there. After taking his fifth base, what am I even trying to say? I have my TL shirt on, but I can't really see it. It's annoying. True Touch starts to do some muta harass. Her ass. That's right. Draw then solidifies his advantage with good careful play and solid pylon scouting. Pylon scouting? Skyline opened with a 1-Rax gasless expand against the 1-gate expand of Rams. Did I say Rams or Skyline first? In the second match, we had a PVZ between True... my voice is going. Hold on, 1 second. True Touch is able to defend... Unfortunately, at this point in the game, Sayle disconnected from his brain. DeWalt takes advantage of this by establishing map control with his army and establishing third base. Did I say establishing twice? Eventually, I don't even know what I'm trying to say. Eventually, both players split the map and the game turns into a crazy max on max what? What am I actually trying to say with this sentence? After 48 intense minutes of Protoss vs Zerg action, DeWalt is finally able to crack True Touch's shell and take the game. I like that. That was a good sentence. I just made that up.